Welcome to this episode of the Great Lives series. Today, we're going to look at the story of Mr. Beast. He spent years making videos almost nobody watched, some earning him only a few dollars, while he obsessively studied exactly why other creators' videos succeeded and his didn't. He eventually became the most subscribed individual creator in the history of YouTube, running video budgets that rival small films, built almost entirely on a strategy most business advisors would call insane, giving nearly everything away. This is the story of Mr. Beast, the teenager who turned relentless, almost scientific obsession into the biggest individual channel on the internet. James Stephen Donaldson was born on the 7th of May, 1998, in Wichita, Kansas, and raised largely in Greenville, North Carolina. He created his YouTube channel at around 13 years old in 2012 under the name Mrbeast 6000, initially posting gaming content, Let's Play style commentary, and videos analyzing other successful YouTubers' channels. The kind of channel thousands of teenagers were starting at the same time with no particular expectation of it going anywhere. By his own later account, he considered dropping out of college entirely to focus on the channel full-time, a decision his family reportedly viewed with real skepticism given how little the channel had actually earned up to that point. What set Donaldson apart in those early years wasn't natural talent or overnight virality. It was an almost obsessive, methodical study of the platform itself. Long before he had any meaningful audience, he was reportedly spending enormous amounts of time analyzing what made videos succeed, studying watch time data, testing thumbnails, titles, and pacing with something closer to a scientist's discipline than a hobbyist's enthusiasm, treating the entire endeavor as a solvable problem rather than a creative gamble. For years, this produced little in the way of real traction. Some of his early videos, by his own later accounts, earned him only a handful of dollars in total, a period of near total obscurity and financial frustration that lasted the better part of half a decade, long enough that most people in his position would reasonably have given up entirely. The breakthrough came gradually rather than overnight, built around a specific format: elaborate, high-concept stunt and challenge videos, often involving extreme endurance, large numbers, or absurd premises pushed to their logical extreme, counting to remarkably high numbers on camera, staying in one place for absurdly long periods, or spending an entire video on a single, oddly compelling idea taken as far as it could possibly go. As the channel's audience grew through the late 2010s, Donaldson made a deliberate, unusual business decision that would come to define his entire brand. Rather than pocketing the advertising revenue his growing videos generated, he reinvested almost all of it directly back into the production of the next video, funding increasingly expensive stunts, giveaways, and sets. A strategy that meant the channel often technically ran at a loss for years, even as its audience climbed into the millions. That reinvestment strategy fueled a shift toward the format that made Mrbeast a household name well beyond YouTube's own core audience. Large-scale philanthropic giveaways, filmed as high-production content in their own right, rather than simple charity appeals. Videos built around giving away cars, houses, and enormous sums of cash to strangers, funding cataract surgery to restore sight for hundreds of people who had lived for years without it, building homes for families in need, planting millions of trees through a collaborative campaign with other creators, and digging wells to provide clean water in regions that lacked it, all filmed with the same high-energy, fast-cut production style he had built his gaming channel on, turned philanthropy itself into some of the most watched content on the entire platform. Few creators before him had combined genuine large-scale charitable giving with mainstream entertainment value so successfully or so consistently at a scale that eventually involved millions of dollars in a single video's giveaway budget. His most ambitious individual video, a real-life recreation of the elaborate games from the television series Squid Game, released in 2021, became one of the most viewed videos in YouTube's entire history within weeks of release. Built on an enormous, purpose-constructed set and hundreds of participants competing for a substantial cash prize, a scale of production, budget, and logistical coordination few individual creators anywhere have ever seriously attempted. blurring the line between ordinary YouTube upload and a full television production. As his channel grew, Donaldson expanded well beyond YouTube itself, betting that his audience's loyalty could translate into physical product and business. He launched Mrbeast Burger in 2020, a virtual restaurant brand operating out of existing commercial kitchens rather than dedicated storefronts, a model that allowed rapid nationwide expansion without the cost of building physical restaurants from scratch. The brand grew rapidly, but also ran into serious difficulty. By 2023, Donaldson's team was engaged in a public legal dispute with Virtual Dining Concepts, the company operating the actual kitchens, over allegations that poor food quality control at various locations was actively damaging the reputation and brand he had spent years building. A reminder that even wildly successful online content doesn't automatically translate into a smoothly run business partnership once physical products and third-party operators enter the picture. He also launched Feastables, a chocolate and snack brand, in 2022, taking a more hands-on, vertically controlled approach to manufacturing after the difficulties with the burger venture. And Beast Philanthropy, a separate, dedicated charitable channel and registered non-profit organization funneling resources directly into food banks and community support projects on an ongoing basis, rather than a one-off video stunt. Donaldson's ventures eventually grew into a company known as Beast Industries, employing hundreds of people across video production, logistics, and his various consumer brands, and reportedly valued at various points in the billions of dollars. A scale of operation almost unrecognizable from the teenage of uploading gaming commentary for a handful of viewers barely a decade earlier. Managing a company of that size and speed brought its own difficulties. His rapid, aggressive scale has not come without scrutiny, as his productions grew larger and more elaborate, including large-scale competition projects like the game show Beast Game, produced for a major streaming platform. Media reports and complaints from some participants raised questions about working conditions, safety standards, and compensation during production. Controversies that have followed the same explosive growth that made his channel famous in the first place, and that any company scaling this quickly, from a bedroom operation to hundreds of employees in under a decade, was perhaps always likely to encounter along the way. Donaldson became, by most measures, the most subscribed individual content creator in YouTube's history, a title that has shifted between a small handful of creators over the years, but one he has held for a sustained stretch. Built not on a single viral moment, but on a genuinely unusual level of sustained, methodical reinvestment. Few creators, or indeed few traditional businesses of any kind, have ever been willing to sustain for so long, often deliberately keeping his own personal spending relatively modest, even as the company around him grew into hundreds of millions of dollars in annual revenue. Whatever complicated legacy his rapid business expansion eventually leaves behind, the core insight that built his channel remains difficult to argue with. An audience that had grown thoroughly used to short, disposable internet content responded overwhelmingly to a creator willing to spend enormous sums and enormous personal effort, making other people's lives visibly, dramatically better on camera. One elaborate video at a time, funded by a level of patient reinvestment almost nobody else in his position was willing to sustain for years and years and years. If this story moved you, do two quick things before you go. Hit like on this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episode of the Great Lives series.